So with no further ado, we're going to get started. We're serious about the Hampshire business, and we've got a great set of Hampshire boars I want to introduce to you. The first boar we're going to lead off with is Cell Block. Cell Block was bred by Rick Fogel at Isla Grande Farms. He is an outlaw, times a cicada. Cell Block was a boar that Tom had seen actually as a young pig, a 6-month-old pig at Fogel's. Tom was at Stony Creek at the time, and Tom called me and he said, "Hey Doc, you got to breed sows to this boar." Tom tried to buy the boar. He and Doc Hendrickson tried to buy him and could not get him bought. Well, as many of you know, Rick and Joanne have retired from the hog business in terms of raising hogs, and we were fortunate enough to get Cell Block bought. He has sired the champion Hampshire Guild at Duncan this last fall. He sired the champion Hampshire Barrow at Hamburg. We have a set of Cell Block pigs on the ground right now that are like no other. We've never been more excited about the Hampshire business, and we are excited about Cell Block and thrilled to bring him out to open up our boar preview this year. He does have a 93% on his breed composition. He is priced at $150 a dose. If you buy a 10-dose contract, you can buy that for $125 a dose. This is Cell Block.
Just flip that thing. Yeah, whatever you do, don't turn it off. Yeah, you're on it. It's the first time I've ever not been able to be heard in a room before. I'll start this evening on this Hampshire boar, and those of you that know me know I don't normally get very excited about Hampshires, and I've probably been harder on them in my short career probably to a fault on some of those things, and the last 6 months I've been probably more excited about the opportunities that this boar and 2 or 3 of them that's getting ready to come in behind him offers. So that being said, when we went to Rick's dispersal sale and sat back in there and walked through that old barn where he was, he stood up and turned around one time, and I was hoping and praying he was a crossbred, and when it found out he was a Hampshire, in my mind that made that even better. That thing to me, besides the fact he's a Hampshire, has like a crossbred rear leg. He uses his rear leg like a crossbred. He comes at you like a crossbred. Nothing to me reads traditional Hampshire problems in that boar, and to me that's about as exciting as it gets. An old mature boar to maintain that kind of look, that kind of shape to his skull, that kind of mass and density, and still continue to use all 4 corners the right way. Pasturing strength's good, hip and hind leg hold up and connection's all right. Get right up on that guy, and the way he puts his ham loin and his back and all that things in the proportions is extremely good to me. I was this morning actually, and I don't ever do this. I'm out trying to promote Hampshire boars, and again it's exciting for me. I think it's exciting for folks who have Hampshire sows, and don't limit yourself to just Hampshire sows. The biggest complaint I hear from anybody is, what are we going to do about our crossbreds that won't eat and consume feed, and why do I have a litter of 12 and 11 of them are terrible? Reach in here and use a boar like this, because this guy's better than the average crossbred boar by a whole lot. He's better than most of them, to be honest, if you go look at him. So don't be afraid to reach in and do something different and put this guy in your good crossbred sows, or your crossbred sows that need some go behind, need some reach, some grab, need to use their rear leg better. I think that thing will do that extremely well. As far as his breed composition, you can use him on lots of variations of percentages of Hampshire sows. But again, I think the real value in him past the Hampshire days is what you can do with him in a crossbred program. Because again, I'll challenge you to find a hole in that guy that won't allow your crossbreds to get better. The best thing is your litters will get better, their consistency will get better, they will get up and go to a feeder and eat. Hogs that are made like that do not sit and nibble and pick at feed. That's a pretty good one, guys. So that's my thoughts on him. Again, I've tried to promote him to lots of people. If you're on the Hampshire side, again, if your breed composition's right, you can reach in and use him on lots of different ways. He's about like I felt when we brought business in. He was one that you just kind of reel back and stick him in sows and heat and see what happens. I think that's what Doc and the boys have done here on their Hampshire sows, and I would encourage you to do the same thing.
Scott and I aren't going to double talk all the boars, but I think this one deserves a little extra time in the ring here. And when I came in this morning and looked through the the boars, and we got each of them out and looked at them, and this one came out, and I think Doc and Tom both can tell you my jaw dropped open. I'm not sure I was on tour for the next 2 or 3 boars because I kept looking back in this guy's pen. And then I found out he's a purebred Hampshire. I'm telling you, get in your truck and drive around and try to find a Hampshire boar that's better. You know, he's probably one of my favorite boars here, and there's a heck of a set of boars back here in the barn. And when one hits you like that one hits me, it doesn't happen often, but you just get a funny feeling in the back of your neck because you don't see quality hogs like that every day. This boar's 93% purebred Hampshire. He is one that can move you. You know, Scott covered all the basics on him. You can see what he does in rib shape and how unique he is, and his pin set and his hind leg and all those things. But when you talk about making crossbred hogs and you talk about winning bear shows, the judge, and I judged a few of them myself, the judge gets on top of that hog and views him behind that blade, and if they've got a Hampshire top, and that's the only place you can get it, I sell additives too, and you can't make hogs look like that without having that Hampshire top that he's got in him. He's broad in his back and square out of his blade, and this one here will blow you away when you get on top of him. He's a mature boar. He's not 350 pounds, and he's still got that top. And the only way you can get it is put purebred Hampshire hogs in your crossbreds. And you get one with a skeleton like that, watch out, you're going to win a lot of bear shows.
This is cell block. Good. Coming in with our next Hampshire boar, this is Lumberjack. While he's bringing Lumberjack in, I was remiss. I need to introduce Scott and Bob Liston for you guys that don't know. Scott and Sharrett Evans are dear friends and help us throughout the year round, and I appreciate their friendship and appreciate their help and all that they do. And Scott is a good resource for us to work with, and he's a good sounding board for me. He keeps me honest and keeps me grounded. Bob Liston, you should not need an introduction. Bob Liston is a legend, and a legend in the Southwest. And frankly, through Tom's long friendship with Bob, we've been able to become friends with Bob, and it's been a tremendous friendship. And I appreciate both these men. I don't think there's anybody that reads hogs any better than these two, and so that's why I like to have them here. I'm thrilled to have them here and listen to comments on the boars. Now, this boar is Lumberjack. Lumberjack is a Bush League times special. He's bred by Drake Purebred Farms. He was a grand champion Hampshire boar at the Ohio State Fair in 2016, and it's kind of interesting. A family up around Worcester bought this boar and bred him to just exclusively crossbred sows, and they sent us pictures of the pigs out of this boar, and they absolutely blew us away, and they dominated that area up there with those pigs. And so we had the opportunity to buy this boar again, and I've got pictures that you can get with me later if you have an interest in this boar of his mommy. But talking to Daryl Drake and to Wade Hendricks there at Drake's, this may be one of the very best elite boars Drake has ever made. We have him here to breed, to make females. We've got sows bred to him. We've got pigs on the ground. We're very pleased with him. This is Lumberjack.
Kevin showed me a picture of this one's mama yesterday. I hadn't seen it yet, and I don't really know why he was withholding that information from me. But that sow's really good. And to come from Drake's, and for him to say that that one's out of his best sow, Daryl Drake doesn't give you much information. He's pretty matter of fact, and just it is, it's black, it's white, it's white. So for him to make that comment, that's pretty impressive. And when we travel around and look at Hampshires and try to figure out how to fix them and how to build them, the number one problem, and I'll say this all night long about the crossbred boars, the number one problem we still see is center rib, shape of rib, and pastern set. And this guy will fix you in those two places. I got a chance to look at his daddy when he was at Thompson's, and that one was one that they just kind of laid in there and bred to some good sows. And for that one to go to Brock's, as critical as they are on pastern set and center body and actual turn to the rib, that said something to me. And then when I found out about this one, that one reminds me of his daddy. Great built, good rear leg, big ribbed. He'll moderate you some if your sows are kind of big and stringy, and he will bring you back to center in terms of rear leg and build behind and the way they set out of their ankles and into their pasterns. So again, if you're trying to make your Hampshire sows better, I don't know that he's a barrow borer. I don't know that he's going to make enough kind of big end in them, but as far as making sows better and making your Hampshires better on the backside, I think that's one you dig into.
We have this boar priced at $50 a dose. If you buy 10 doses, pay in a contract, it's $40 a dose. I will make just another mention. He's 96% on his breed composition, so he's a high-ranking boar there. And one thing I will mention is the pigs out of him and the pigs we have on the ground are extremely heavy muscled. So you may not look at him and think he would sire muscle. This boar sires muscle. So this is Lumberjack. Next boar we have coming in is Never Better. Never Better was a private treaty purchase last year this time from the Kane family in Iowa. Never Better is and it's all good, a Thunderstruck clone times Mossy Oak. He was 91% on his breed composition. He is priced at $50 a dose. I will say that we did have a gilt come out of him. The Trevs family, some of you know, drove a Never Better gilt this year at the Summer Type Conference, which is one of the tougher junior shows in the country. And his daughter won the oldest gilt class, a December gilt class. This is a boar, again, another boar that will sire a tremendous amount of muscle on your pure crossbred sows. This is Never Better.
This morning we're reviewing again, like I said, the Hampshire catalog here and back in the back, and this boar come out. And the first thing that hits me about this boar, if you got some flatter sided sows that need opened up through that center rib, this guy can do it as good as any. He's really got a good shape to his fore rib. He's got a big old working blade in him. Again, he's got that big Hampshire top in him that you know, is a signature to the breed, and a big square pin set. This one here can open you up in the center portions and open those sows up and put some capacity into that Hampshire sow. I think just a real solid, practical boar here. The price is right on him. I think you can put some center rib in him pretty easily with this guy.
This is Never Better. It's an exciting time in the Hampshire business, and the Hampshires are going to get better. The better the Hampshires get, the better the crossbreds get, and we are working hard on our Hampshires. We're increasing our Hampshire sow numbers. We have this strong set of Hampshire boars. This is one of our new additions. This is 100 proof. For those of you that are at the Summer Type Conference, this boar wins the youngest boar class. He is bred by New Wave Genetics in Iowa. He is a follow me times homeboy. This boar is 100% on his breed composition test. This is a boar that you can use across the board on Hampshire sows without giving it a thought in terms of breed composition and where you need to be. I've seen boars of high purity, and I've seen some good ones, and I've seen some that are not so good. This is a good one. This is one that you don't have to compromise to get a high-level breed composition. I talked to Clay just a minute ago before the show, and this is one of the boars that he was anxious to see and asked about. This is 100 proof.
I absolutely agree with Kevin. When his composition test came back, I didn't believe it at first because he doesn't look like one of those that are a high, you know, into that 100% kind of realm, because there's not very many of them, and most of them you have a more of a traditional kind of a Hampshire head and skull read. They have a little more of a Hampshire kind of a rear too, which I alluded to earlier that I've been very critical of over the years, and this one doesn't do that. This one to me reads more like Cell Block does in terms of his interdimension, his squareness, and his volume. And he does that in a real stout skulled, stout forearm, big ankled kind of a package. And And again, I talked to just a couple guys this morning about him, and that's the number one thing I tell them is like, don't expect him to make a, kind of that traditional, back end and front end, kind of like those Hampshires have been in the past. This one reads again more like a cross. He's got more crossbred shape up high and crossbred rib and volume. Those things are very, very important, and they're hard to put in them. I can tell you at Louisville, if that one had probably a better stick on him and had a better clip job, which I argued last night we probably should have hadn't clipped him, but that one with a little different feed bucket, a little different driver, and a little different kind of a hair coat, I don't know what he'd have brought. He'd have brought a lot of money, I'll promise you that. So he was bought right, and he was bought effectively, and he's offered to you to be used. And again, back into your Hampshire program, if you've got a problem on your percentages, that one fixes you pretty easy without taking you backwards. If you want to go ahead and lay him into a crossbred situation, I think he's one that could absolutely do that too.
This is 100 proof. He is priced at $100 a dose, 10 dose contract, $75 a dose, 100 proof. Mark. This next boar is one that we're extremely excited about. I really honestly did not need another Hampshire boar, wasn't looking for another Hampshire boar, and our neighbor down the road here, Mark Long, put this boar up on the internet. Now, I want to tell you something right now. Bob mentioned a minute ago, we got every boar out this morning and walked them up and down the aisleway back here, and we got this boar out. My heart absolutely sunk. This boar's pulled a stifle on his right rear leg. I can promise you that's not him. Okay, and so Mark Long is here. You know Mark. We appreciate Mark. We're not going to do this with every boar, but I want Mark just to give us a little insight on the breeding on this boar. This boar is wicked.
Well, thanks a lot, Kevin, and certainly appreciate the Sharrett family, Scott Evans, Tom Lamke, for getting this guy in here. I mean, the boar, he's out of a gilt litter. His mother is where he gets all that power and front end from. He's got all my best sows in him multiple times on the bottom side. And I just say, I mean, I feel like he's probably the best boar I've put together. And I don't think, I challenge you to find a Hampshire boar with the front 2/3 that can match up to this guy. There's nothing with a stout head, neck like he's got, still really busted open into blades, and a big old chest floor. You don't see a front end on a boar like that still maintains that kind of stoutness and rib. So thanks to you guys for putting him in, and it's one I'm certainly very proud of.
Thank you, Mark. Wicked is priced at $150 a dose. He is 93% on his breed composition.
Just a few things about the wicked boar here, and again, he's kind of tweaked that. You wouldn't let him out with talking as he goes, but he's kind of tweaked that hind leg. But if you look at his shape and muscle, his overall show pig look, I think this guy could make some really, really good bears. Even on those crossbred sows, he's pretty unique in the muscle shape and things that he has and brings to the table.
We do think Wicked truly is wicked in terms of what he brings to the table. We're excited about him and looking forward to you guys, along with us, getting sows bred to Wicked. We're shifting into our Duroc program, and we are blessed, as I said, to have Tom and Janie working with us, and nobody loves red hogs more than Tom. Nobody knows red hogs better than Tom. No one knows the history and the lineage. And so we're going to show you some young Duroc boars here, and I want to let you know that this is first in class. First in class is a result of a planned mating. He's out of Old School and out of a Law and Order sow, which, as you know, the Duroc pedigrees, Tom bred Law and Order. This is a young boar. This boar is not 6 months old yet. He's 5 months and some days. There are 3 boars that we have laid in here, and we bought them based on their pedigree. And we bought them based on the sow they're out of. Bobby's seen the sow, and he saw these pigs as little pigs. We're excited about our Duroc program. We're excited about these 3 young boars, and this is first in class. He's $100 a dose.
Tom and Doc there, 'cause I think these boars last spring were born up there at Mike Day's, and I knew that sow's been a tremendous sow for Mike. He's got 1 or 2 Duroc sows. He's not like he's got a whole herd of them. He's Duroc breeder at heart. He's got a lot of Hampshires, but he's kept some quality around there in a pair of sows, and the mother of this one's a unique individual. A matter of fact, they're all 3 litter mates. But I ran up there to Mike's. Tom and Doc called me and asked me to. These pigs were 8, 9 weeks old. Very impressive litter. I'm not going to say they're all alike, but they're all extremely high quality hogs with a little bit of differences in the litter, which I think is good. There's a hog in the litter you could breed any Duroc sow to. They got a lot of versatility to them. This one here was the one that was just the most correct, I think, when they were babies. He had a tremendous look to him, tremendous front end in him, a boar that is just impeccable in his skeleton, the way he moves, and the way his skeleton is composited, and one that you just really appreciate the looseness of spine that he has. This boar don't have any trouble getting around. He's got a great look to him. I think you can make excellent females with this boar. I think this boars will make bears. I think he'll make boars. I think this is the one that could do all 3. But it's one that I think that you need to really look hard at. Look at your Duroc herd over and check your sow herd out. They would mate on any of the 3 of these boars, but certainly an excellent litter with a lot of lineage in that pedigree. Tom is really excited about what's back in behind there on the pedigree, and that's important as well.
Again, these boars we're going to look at are based on the sow. There was a sow at Stony Creek, the Gretzky sow, that is a legendary sow in the Duroc breed. If you get the opportunity to talk to Tom about that sow and what she's done and what she's contributed, this boar and the next boar we're going to look at are lined up with that sow on both sides of the pedigree. I don't know how many times, too numerous to count. So this is first in class. He is $100 a dose.